I'm Caroline Smith, and this is our circuit. The function of ours is to be like a wheel of fortune type of thing. So this is our wheel, and it's connected to our DC motor, and this is the servo motor, which the function of this is going to be to tell whose turn it is. So it'll point one way for one person, then it'll point the second way for the second person, then it'll point this way for the third person. And when we press the button, that tells you whose turn it is, and it spins this to tell you how much you've won.
Hi, my name's Ellie, and I'll be explaining the hardware component. So the first thing you see is this battery, and this battery is what powers our DC motor right here. It all runs through something, and it's controlled by something called a transistor, and this transistor the gate is attached to the Arduino to pin 10, and so this controls the amount of voltage that's going to be running through the transistor. Then you have the drain, which is attached to the ground, and so right now you can see that the power of the battery is going straight to the DC motor, but the reason why it's not running is because this ground doesn't have anywhere to go, and so this ground is only activated when there is when there's voltage going through the transistor. And then the last one is the drain, is the source, and the last one is the source, and that goes just straight to ground. Following that, to work with the servo motor right here, we have a capacitor, and this capacitor basically just smooths out the power going through the motor, so it doesn't end up jerky or anything like that. This is also attached to a PWM pin in the Arduino, and lastly we have a button that serves as an input, and so when the button is pressed, there is power that goes through to pin 7.
Hi, I'm Zach. I'm going to talk about the code. So here we have the code. First we initialize some variables, so these are constants. These are the pins. First we have the button pin, taken to pin 7, the motor pin to pin 10, and the servo pin to pin 3. We'll just call these variables when we reference the pins instead of putting the actual numbers later. We initialize the angle and the person count, which will be used in functions later in the thing. We also include the servo library, which allows us to use certain servo commands for the servo motor to make it so we can work the way it wants to. For the setup, we attach the servo. This basically just assigns the servo pin to the servo, which we have the servo pin set as 3, and so we assign that pin there. We make the button pin an input and the motor pin an output, and then we write the motor pin to low. This makes it so the motor is not spinning initially. And so now we go into the loop. So we have a function here. If the button is pressed, then the person count equals 1. Then, which we set as 1 in the beginning, then the servo points to a certain direction, and so this basically designates which player it is, and you'll see that in the functionality of it. And so we have if the person count equals 2 and the button is pressed, then it goes to a different position, and if the person count is 3 and it's pressed, it goes to a different position. This just again shows which player it's pointing at. And the person count will increase after each button pressed to keep this function going. Then a delay happens, and we have a spin time for the actual wheel of fortune. And so this spin time is a randomized amount, which allows us to select different values on the actual wheel. And whenever this spin time happens, we write the motor pin to high, so it spins. A delay happens, and it spins for that randomized spin time, and then the motor pin is written back to low, so the motor stops spinning. And then if these situations are not met, then the pin is set to low, so that it's not spinning at all, and the functionality does not work.